Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined us today for this important discussion on women in technology leadership, breaking the digital ceiling. I'm Priya Raju, Technology Consulting Partner in KPMG UK. I was born and grew up in India and came to UK 20 years ago as a part of my consulting career. I became a mother 17 years ago and still think it is one of the biggest achievements. Although I recently became partner, I'm still progressing in my career. I'm still wanting to shatter the glass ceiling. The digital revolution has transformed our world in many ways, and women in particular have played a crucial role in shaping this transformation. However, despite this significant contribution, women still remain underrepresented in leadership positions within the technology industry. This panel discussion aims to explore the challenges and the opportunities faced by women in technology leadership. We will discuss the systemic barriers that hinder their progress, the strategies for overcoming these obstacles, the importance of creating a more inclusive workplace, and inspirations for women looking to become technology leaders. At this point, I would like to invite the panelists to introduce themselves and share their personal journey in becoming a technology leader. Let's start with Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you, Priya, for inviting me to this session. So I'm Elizabeth Pinilla. I am the head of technology and data in Santander, UK. Well, I have had a challenging career at personal level and at professional level. I am a computer engineer, and during 2-3 years, I do several jobs. And then I joined Deutsche Bank when I was 27. And I joined Deutsche Bank in a situation in that there was an enormous transformation of the bank, and I landed there as the responsible for the core system change. And I was not used to manage teams. And the situation that was there is that my team was mainly men of 45 in average, thinking that the traditional way of doing the things was the right one. And I was landing there with no experience in management. And it was really hard for me during 2 years. I really suffered. But I think that, as always, when you are in a challenge and out of your comfort zone is when you really learn and when you really advance. So for me, this was one of the shaper of my careers.
I'm Angela Wallace. I'm Head of Quality Engineering Centre of Excellence for Lloyds Banking Group. My story is slightly different, as you'd expect, because I guess we're all different. I am probably the poster child for going the route of not the academic side of things. So as soon as I could leave school, I was out of there. I hated studying. And I hope this might resonate with some people. I didn't need a degree to get where I am. My career is a very squiggly career. So for me, I started at the grassroots in the bank. I was on the help desk and I loved it. I loved speaking to customers, but I think this gave me my foundation, and I know we're going to explore this later, but I think it got me to understand our customer base. But I got into testing and I love it. I love breaking people's code. I like finding the defects. Sorry, guys. I absolutely adore it. And I also like being that last line of defense before products get to customers. And I think quality is really important.
I have a BSc in computer science. I studied computer science in my undergrad, and that was very interesting because I wanted to study medicine, and my dad said no. Surprisingly, African parents will always say you should do the other way, but my dad wanted me to, do computer science for so many reasons I understand now. And so I did that, and I kind of enjoyed it. And then I worked for a couple of years, gaining work experience in the IT industry, just doing service desk stuff. And then I came to the UK for my master's. I have a master's in advanced computer science as well, and I joined KPMG very recently. Excited to be here.
Hi there, my name's Laura Hutton. I'm co-founder and chief customer advocate of Quantexa. As you'll hear by my accent, I'm from Northern Ireland, grew up there with 2 older brothers until I was 19. I had a mother who was a teacher, and I suppose through my mum, I always was brought up with you can do whatever you want to do, you can be whatever you want to be. And probably with two older brothers, I learned to fight my corner, is probably fair to say, otherwise they would take it. My initial job, I did maths at university. I'm a maths graduate, always loved maths from when I was very, very small. Fell into my initial career. I'm afraid to say there was zero planning. I wanted to go travelling. My mum said, get a job. I found a job. That was the summary. But I landed on my feet. I joined a product arm of a consultancy. And in there, I fell in love with data and AI. And that was now probably, 18, 19 years ago. And yes, AI has been around all that time, even though it is a headline for 2023 and beyond. And the analytics that I was doing there was specifically looking at anti-fraud detection and anti-financial crime. And that's really where I found my passion, that I could use data and analytics to really impact for good society. I could protect the most vulnerable from those who were trying to take advantage or abuse them. Roll forward in time to 2016. I'd spent my career to that point in software companies. And myself, along with 5 others of my colleagues, we decided that we believed we could go out and do it ourselves. I left a well-paid job, as did my husband, who's one of the co-founders as well. We had a mortgage we couldn't afford, and we resigned and we founded Quantexa in March 2016. Roll forward 8.5 years. Quantexa is now nearly 800 people strong. We became a British unicorn last year. And in that time, personally, I've also gone on to have 2 small children in the 8 years of Quantexa. So 2016 to 2024 has been quite a journey. What I love, and I suppose, what my passion is solving problems.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Rebecca Fitzgerald. I'm Director of Architecture and Data at the Yorkshire Building Society. I'm sure you can see the Yorkshire accent this side. So yeah, I mean, I have Yorkshire in my DNA. That's for the Yorkshire Building Society as well. I've been there for 26 years this year. I actually started when I was 12 on a Take Your Daughters to Work day, and my mum was the forms designer with the very first large Apple Mac in the Yorkshire Building Society, I remember. And yeah, the joke is that I never left, and I'm still there now. My mum's retired, she's not there anymore. My dad's retired, but my dad was an engineer by trade, set up his own company, business entrepreneur, and working with China and kind of, so I think a lot of my tech and engineering background comes from the way I sort of set off in life, coupled with education in science, maths and art and IT, which kind of developed a path for how I've kind of come into the roles that I've got. So those 26 years ago, I started Yorkshire Building Society in customer experience roles, call centres, ISAs, deaths, births, marriages, and all the kind of administration roles. Worked my way through there and then ran our head office branch, a lot of telesystems. Took me then into my detective days, financial crime, so I spent many years in the risk function, money laundering and fraud, and really found that kind of intelligence and data and analytics, really found a niche of where I wanted to be. We did a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Yorkshire Building Society, we kind of merged with a lot of other building societies, so I found I became a natural project manager. Typically was the functional risk lead, ended up being in a lot of the projects, so that then took me on to similar to the others. It kind of took me through roles that was projects, programs, portfolios, and kind of cut my trade really, learning as I went, got all the qualifications to go with it in the background. And then I think I found my love for kind of how you bring that sort of business and technology together, and could really demonstrate that in understanding the customer and the processes.
Hi, I'm Nadine Elsham. I head up our alliances business within SAP UKI, UK and Ireland. Been at SAP 17 years, prior to that Oracle for 10 years and also Microsoft. I also didn't go down the academic route, nor did I start off wanting to be in IT. I studied law straight after school and then got bored and actually became a makeup artist and set up my own business. With the help of my parents, and then got pregnant at 21, and all of that changed, and suddenly I had to get a proper job, and my mother was very senior and very successful in Oracle at the time, suggested I might want to get into IT, which filled me with horror, but nevertheless I had a child and had to kind of grow up and look to how I could build a career to provide for her. And so I did get a role at at Oracle, and really the rest of it has just come by, I think, some of it luck, a lot of it to do with network. So I made a big point of getting a mentor. I didn't have a clue about IT at all. Started off in quite a basic admin role, and within 12 months of there I was running something called the Academic Initiative, which was going out and selling technology to universities. And roles since then, every kind of 3 or 4 years, I kind of changed roles, was offered new jobs due to the network that I created, and then went on to run or to be part of a global program, startup of a global program at SAP, which was probably the best job, apart from the one I've got now, that I've ever had. It was taking on young people straight out of university and training them to be salespeople, and we built a big school in California, and so I was out there every couple of months with 600 graduates, mentoring and coaching them, and it was fabulous because they're so hungry to learn, and you're able to share your experiences. Plus, going to California every few months was quite nice as well.
So I'm Corinne Picard. I'm EMEA Chief Operating Officer for ServiceNow. I have to say, I think technology picked me a while back. 30 years ago, I had a bachelor in finance business school, very traditional start in life. I didn't want technology. I didn't think about technology, but then I discovered that with the expertise I have, I can work with technology and transform the processes of organization. I found that very interesting, innovative, never get bored. And I joined my first software company almost, I would say 25 years ago. I made a couple of different companies across the years. I think what was important is like every time I had a role for 2 or 3 years, I always think about what will excite me next, what will be the job that I would love. And I would say in those technology companies, it's quite open to move sideways, and you're doing sales, pre-sales, then you can offer to be product manager, you can work in strategy. And then I joined Oracle as well, where I stayed 13 years. I started as an individual contributor to look at the transformation from a traditional company to a cloud company. It has been 13 very exciting years. So I started at this level, and then I would say take a different role, grew into the hierarchy step by step. Sometimes not easy, becoming vice president, having very regional role in charge of the entire strategy for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and then nominated for the first time as country manager for France, as the first woman. So it was a big achievement for me. I really fought for that because nobody really wanted me. But I had allies. I had a strong network, like was said before. It was really important. You understand the people you can trust, you want to work with, the team you want to build. And then ServiceNow called me and said, we have another big transformation to make, and we'd like you to join as a Chief Operating Officer. I'm now working with an amazing president, which is a woman as well, and a very balanced and diverse leadership team. So this makes, I feel I make the right choice, even though at the beginning it's technology that have chosen me and I didn't choose technology.
So I think there's two things I would add to that. One is the stereotype and the bias that you find yourself in, and then the other is the juggling act and the how you balance the work life. So I think from a bias perspective, from my own reality, and lots of people have grown up in different ways, but the man of the house would drive the car, fix the TV, solve the hands-on problems. So I think as you find yourself moving into the workplace, people step in and do things for you, or you're not invited to the problem-solving conversations. And I think as a technology leader, that's something that's really, I'm going back quite a number of years, but I think that was something that I found as quite a challenge because I'd always been invited up to that point. But working alongside lots of long-serving IT managers who had built, kind of teams of lots of men typically. So I think you find yourself in a room and you bring a perspective that's not really understood. You've not got allies in the room. So you find yourself in a conversation where people don't understand what you bring to the table. I think my red-headed grit and resilience probably helped to just keep going and just keep really helping people to understand why my perspective mattered, why the nurturing of the skills and the people within the function was just as equal as making the technology choices.
I have to say, when I was like individual contributor, not a manager, I felt it was quite. Didn't feel the difference at the women. I had some skills and that I was rewarded for. I got was valuable. I felt it was when I started in the management side that it started to be more complicated. I felt people were afraid I could not get the pressure. I could not have the right leadership in place. I cannot make tough decisions. It was like bias between men and women. So I had the feeling I needed to prove much harder than I was able to do a job and much longer. And all the time, it was very complicated from a financial compensation perspective. You know, even if I ask too much or if I just ask, I could be blamed to be too ambitious or to be too demanding, whereby I could see that men have different attitude and nobody was blaming them for that. So I had to learn how to do it, but at the same time being respected and get the right compensation.
I really feel very identified with what they are saying, because really it's like you arrive to a place in a managerial position, and the reaction of the people there is, you are not going to do it. And then the question is why I am not going to do it, no? And I think that here the topic is you have to have a vision, you have to follow your vision, to trust in yourself, and just do it. And then when they see, oh, you've done it, is when they realize that, yes, it works and you are very valuable. But I think that the difference, or what the bias makes, is that you don't win the trust or the recognition till you've done it, not just because you are explaining what you are going to do. You need to show it and to demonstrate it. But I think that at the end, this has the other part, no? That really this forces you to execute, to deliver, to engage your team, and to really build and transform things and show the results as, no? So I think that is challenging, but on the other side, it makes you grow. So for me, here the advice is go ahead, believe in yourself, and just do it, and rely on your team, and create a vision and implement this vision.
One of my most notable experiences when I was younger, I was 25, 26, blonde, probably because I'd been to the hairdressers maybe recently, Northern Irish accent, female, and I was going in to pitch to them a new approach to finding rogue trading. It was a solution I'd developed on the back of the Jérôme Kerviel case at SocGen, and I had built it and I was taking it to market. And I was walking into investment banks, I looked very, very young at the time. The years at Quantexa have aged me, but I looked about 17. And I was trying to tell these often grey-haired gentlemen who'd been in investment banking for 30, 40 years that I had a new way of how they were going to protect themselves. And you can imagine how that initially went down. And my solution at that point, it was a challenge, but my solution at that point was to bring someone a bit more seasoned than myself in from my organisation so that I could get in through the door. Once I got in through the door, within 5 minutes, they realised I had the content, I had the knowledge, and they would then listen to me. Roll forward 15 years, and I found a Quantexa, and I'm walking into the same organisations. I walk in there, and they remember me. They remember me as that chirpy Northern Irish blonde girl who came with this new innovative approach that really worked. So what was a challenge has actually become a superpower. What has made me unique makes me stand out, makes me be remembered because there aren't many of me around. So I guess what I'm saying there is with every challenge, I think there's an opportunity to reposition that as your own strength.
You know, the lack of representation. Sometimes, you know, you just want people to, you know, on the top of the ladder, you, as a young person, I can't always, you know, just go into rooms and say, oh, I have something to say. But I'm hoping that, you know, there are women there that can say, as a woman, this is how I feel today about this situation that we're talking about. This would not work for women, right? And you know, sometimes you hear people say stuff and I'm like, that won't work. And then you hear somebody else, a woman, say, no, that won't work. And I'm like, yes. That's something that I also think that we still need, you know, to grow into, to encourage, right?
More representation.
Exactly, more representation for us women. Because again, so many of these young girls are coming up and they also want to see, it's better right now compared to when I was younger, right? Where in the class of 52, we were 6 girls. Just 6 of us, and not everybody even graduated because of course they got bored, it was difficult and all of that, but more representation, and so that we can also tell our children they can do it.
A lot of women straight away, and I am generalising here, so I'm happy to be corrected, but when they look at a job advert, they go, oh, I think I can do that. Oh, I might be able to do that. By the time they've got to the 5th point, they've kind of talked themselves out of it. And my story has been, go for it, do it, believe in yourself, be your champion, and come and work for us. And that's how we've really started attracting people. We've had a massive recruitment campaign, I can't take credit for that, about, you know, attracting women in tech. We've got lots of diversity targets, which we are hitting and achieving. But I think it's about sharing our stories. It's something so simple as share your stories and you will bring the talent. The retention bit is interesting. I think the element for me is keeping people's jobs interesting, also empowering those individuals to go and tell their story now. So rather than it being me within my team going out and telling my story, I'm taking my colleagues with me and we are building our story and getting our voices out there.
I think there's quite a few different things that we do, but if I touch on a couple of them, I think setting an example at the top is really important. I think I touched on it earlier. I work for an amazing woman. The peer in my organisation is also another amazing woman, and we've just appointed our first female managing director who has come from kind of a sales leadership role and worked her way up. And so I think that sets the tone of the kind of organisation that we are from a top-down approach, which encourages naturally women to be able to see that actually this is a company that promotes women from within and that supports women, provides a platform for them to grow and develop their careers. I also think it's really important to give back. So I'm a qualified coach, and I think mentoring early talent is a passion of mine. I touched earlier on the job that I had previously at SAP. I think it's really important to encourage young people to develop.
I think it's having that curiosity and that mindset to go, actually, what's happening over here? I'm interested in this. How can I actually bring this in? And maybe that doesn't actually fit either, but it looks good. So what can I do to bring it into the bank? Or how can I take these learnings over here and use them for a process, for governance, whatever, but to help us reduce our overheads or our, increase our efficiency. Innovation is just at the core of everything we're doing. And I also don't think innovation needs to be big things. So I know we talked about AI earlier, and you're right, I didn't expect it to, it's a hot topic, and you were obviously at the forefront of it 16 years ago. But I think for us, it doesn't have to be a big piece of tech like putting in automation frameworks or bringing in something like Gen AI. It can be small elements as well.
you know, as leaders, we've got to role model that curiosity.
Yep.
And we've really, you know, I've not been in AI for 16, 17 years, but it's definitely something that we're looking at as, you know, something we absolutely want to innovate with. How do we bring this more intelligent way of kind of bringing, you know, what humans can do today, but actually machines can do more effectively, and it's actually bringing the two together. So I think as leaders, you have to demonstrate learning. You have to show that you don't know everything, and you're going to find. I signed up last week to MIT Sloan to do a course in AI, 6 to 8 weeks, just because I'm looking for leaders who have paved the way that I'm about to walk on, and there's not many. So I spent quite a long time saying that, about 3 weeks, and then was like, go fill the gap. So actually there is something that leaders can do to keep sparking those innovation. And then the other thing I'd add is, you know, get people really behind your strategy. What do you want your organisation to look like in 5-7 years' time?
Organizations need to look into younger generations because we tend to bring in the transformation when it comes to trending topics, you know, regarding what's going on at the moment. You rarely find, you know, somebody that's been in an organization for 25, 30 years coming to say, let's change things. It comes from those of us that are unhappy with how it looks, you know, and saying, I know a better way to do it. I know a faster way to do it.
So I think that the question is very important, because when we talk about emerging technologies, sometimes we are talking about theory and hypes. And for me, what is really important and linked to innovation is really at what moment and how you take the technology and really make the difference for your customer and for your business using the technology. So for me, technology is a tool really to generate the difference. No? And if I go to this context, I think that what we are very focused now is in doing really a digital transformation that change the business model and the way in which we interact with our customers. Okay, so for me, all the front to back transformation that the digital technology allows us to do is very important, but understanding that it's not the technology for the technology, but really changing end to end the way in which we deliver the service to our customers.
I would say we mentioned generative AI for sure, and at some point as well, low code, no code, so the ability to do text to code or voice to code, so which means anyone will be able to code at some point without learning code, which give the ability to everyone in the organization to be able to create their own, you know, piece of technology. I think it will be a huge transformation in the organization.
Personally, it's huge. It's been the thread that has been there for the last, as long as I can remember. And I think it's really important that we create pathways for people to follow. And I think there's something about having really great mentors and sponsors behind you. I think a mentor being able to just kind of talk and share their experiences, share what they've learned along the way, you know, fast track you through, you know, some of the barriers that what takes me 3 years, I'd like to think takes somebody 3 months in today's, you know, people like Grace who are coming up through the ranks. I think there's something about really accelerating the next generation. So without mentors and people who can share, I think you really stifle that. And also the mentors that are around, we need more women mentors, we need more people who can share the journeys about, you know, balancing families and kind of getting off and on the career ladder. You know, I think it's really important to share.
There are 3 different things. There's mentor, coach and sponsor. Your sponsor is the one who's got your corner, who's your advocate, who can open doors that you possibly couldn't, who champions for you. The mentor is the one who's sharing their experience. The coach is the person who gives you confidence to come up with the solution themselves. And I think that they're very different roles. And I think mentorship can happen in the moment. I think when I was much younger and encouraged to get a mentor, I was actually quite nervous about getting a mentor because that person was naturally more senior than I was, but also I didn't know what I didn't know. So I didn't actually know what to ask them, and I felt it to be quite intimidating. So I think mentorship whilst yes, the structured mentor program is great if you have a direction of travel that you want to go in as an individual, and you have specific things that you need mentoring, whether it be a project or career advice or whatever.
Don't wait. Don't expect people to bring you the career or the development you want. Is everything in your hands? But don't forget that there are people around you that can help you, but you can rely just on you, especially as a woman.
Amazing. Thank you, Karen. Nadine, same question for you. One piece of advice.
Be true to yourself. I think sometimes early in your career there's a feeling you need to conform to someone else's expectations. I think it's your unique skills and the way you're different that actually sets you apart and actually gives you strength.
Great. Rebecca?
Yeah, I think have a vision. Where are you going? Where do you see yourself in 2, 3, 5 years' time? Create a plan and find people who can help you on that journey.
Amazing. Laura?
I'd say back yourself. I mean, worst case, you take a leap of faith, you go into a new role that you're not sure you're fully qualified for. What's the worst that can happen? You either, best case you fly, worst case it doesn't quite work out, but you'll have learned a huge amount along the way.
I hope this panel discussion has provided valuable insights and inspiration to all of us. By sharing the experiences and perspective of these remarkable women, we can work together to break the digital ceiling and create a better future for women in technology leadership. Thank you to our amazing panelists for joining us today, and thanks everyone.